Trying to see if I get the sound working this time, everybody. Sorry about that. If you guys are able to pop back over, let me know if the sound is working, and we will go from there. Okay, cool. Thanks, Danny. Appreciate that. I don't know what happened there, but we are back. Probably going to lose some people, but it is what it is. It's technical difficulties. Unfortunately, YouTube's studio, and maybe when maybe if the channel continues to grow, I will look at doing like an OBS or something. But YouTube Studio is very limited in what you can do, especially like in the moment. So there's not much I can do to check on that. But in any case, sorry about that, everybody. We'll start over again. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to MUFC versus everybody. I am your host, Sean. So glad you guys could be back today to get some of the Manchester United news updates. Like I said in the other video where the sound wasn't working, so you didn't hear, talking a little bit about stadium updates, a little bit about rival fans raging right now, and then we are going to talk a little bit about transfer updates. So before we do get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel for me if you are new, and let's get stuck in. So as Danny says, we've got a little bit of Fofana news. So let's talk a little bit about Yusuf Fofana. This is coming from Sky Sports. So I did see this morning. Reports that AC Milan are refusing to spend more than £17 million on Yusuf Fofana. The report adds that a 20 million bid from United could see us jump ahead of the queue in terms of getting that signature over the line. United are interested. We have been linked. And Fofana is entering the final year of his contract. So Monaco want to get something for him. They don't want to lose him for free. So Danny says that Sky are saying the deal is now on. Let me see what we have to say here, bud. It's always fun when things go live and the news changes, right? It's so interesting. Is 20 million a good price, though, do you think, for Fofana, for a player entering the final year of their contract? I think it might be good business. I do like Fofana a lot. Kind of like Standard-Berge, though, who we took a closer look at yesterday. Go check out that video if you haven't yet. Fofana isn't a straight-up number 6 like Ugarte. Danny says their transfer show talk. They're probably talking about it. Sky were the ones who were talking about it earlier, so they're probably kind of following up on that, on those tweets that they put out earlier and things. So sounds like, they're kind of reiterating. This is what you're going to see throughout the day. You're going to see the same kind of rumors and news reports kind of cycled here and there. And again, it builds up. It kind of snowballs, right? And so it sounds like United are moving on to other targets. Again, is this a ploy? I know we really wanted Ugarte, but I think 20, even 25, like Danny says, for Fofana, plus maybe another midfielder, like bring back Amrabat. Even if you want to go get a Standard-Berge, cool. I think that would be really good. None of these other midfielders, though, are, aside from Ugarte and maybe like João Gomez, are your straight up number 6s, your ball winners, your midfield destroyers, like Ugarte is. So it's a very different profile. I think unless we're looking at maybe 2 midfielders, to me it's odd that we're looking at such different profiles of that's like saying like we need a winger, we need a top class winger, but we're looking at someone who's just a Marcus Rashford type who's just going to get forward, or we're going to look at someone like a Sancho who creates, and those are our 2 options. Those are very different, profiles of players. So it's very interesting to me that we're looking at so many different midfielders, that were linked with so many different midfielders. And I think that it's been difficult, right, for us to be super picky about that and super selective, because not having any suitors for Casemiro, not being able to potentially to sell McTominay if Fulham are interested, those are proving to be real roadblocks when it comes to us doing any more business right now. And I think it's causing a lot of fans to get a little bitter at these players. Why, they should just want to go there. Everyone wants to throw out the, like, have some self-respect, angle. Like, if they respected themselves, if they really cared, they would go play football. Well, everyone likes to flip-flop when it comes to money or football. I doubt that a lot of people in the same situation would turn down, being paid hundreds of thousands a week at United to take a pay cut to go play someplace else. Honestly, I think a lot of people might choose financial. It's easy to say outside of the situation what you would do. I think that you're going to hear a lot of that, though. Danny B says, I do think Fofana and Mainu would work well in a double pivot. I think I would trust that more than a Sander Berge Mainu pivot. Plus, you have to remember we still have Mount as well. Mount has played in the deeper role as well at times, so it could work as well. We don't want to put too much pressure on Mainu right away. He's still very young. Obviously, he's a big part of our plans. He's a big part of the regular starting 11. And then, like Danny says, you need proper center backs. Exactly. It's a system. Dutch managers, Ten Hag, we saw in Louis van Gaal, they're notoriously system over player. It's not just, oh, let's get this player. It's how does this player fit in the system? That's why we saw a lot of players under Van Gaal who are good utility, good, useful players who work in a system, like your Daily Blins and whatnot. And even Onana, even if you want to go back, Danny, to goalkeepers, people will say, well, why do we buy Onana for this, that, or the other thing? People will like to throw out, we only bought him for his passing. We didn't buy him for his passing because if you notice, we rarely use him for long balls, which I think we should more frequently. We buy him because he's composed in that dangerous area while we're building out from the back. Imagine some of the things we've seen Onana do on the ball. David De Gea would not dream of doing it. And that's not a diss on De Gea. They're just very different players. But Onana, like the center backs in Ten Hag's system, like the midfielders in the system, like everyone else, Onana is one component of a system. And like we saw last season, when you have the center backs for that system, you can have a goalkeeper who's excellent on the ball, but if you don't have center backs for that system, it doesn't work. And that's one of the biggest, if you've been following the channel for a while, that's one of my biggest frustrations with Ten Hag last season, is continuing to try that system without the players for it. That frustrates me. But like you say, Danny, yes, you need a lot of components to come together for that system, which is also why when people like to throw out, we haven't seen the style of play yet. We have seen the style of play. The style of play just isn't working the way it really could, because we're still working with Jose Mourinho players. We're still working with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer players. We're still working with players that were purchased for a counterattacking system, not a slow build-up, not a possession-based, high-pressing system. Jose Mourinho famously did not have high-intensity training. When Ole got here, it ramped up, and even Ole complained about the lack of fitness, and it's the same under Ten Hag. Everybody's so quick to blame Ten Hag for so much stuff. When he inherited players who weren't for his system, players who weren't fit, and other managers ahead of him said that. So why it's ridiculous to me. But like you say, Danny, we do need proper center backs. Right now we've lost 2 center backs. We've bought one, and he's going to be out for however long. We're down a midfielder technically. If you look at Amrabat not being here anymore, we have one new striker who's yet to play a minute with his team, and we've lost another one. So technically, we have less players going into the season than we did at the end of last season, if you want to get technical about it right now, considering who we sold and who we bought and who's injured now. So it's not looking super, super great right now. So we took a closer look at Sander Berge yesterday after several reports linked us with interest in Burnley midfielder, and after reportedly we made contact with Burnley over a deal. Go check out that video from yesterday if you want to learn a little bit more about Sander Berge, what he offers, what his profile will be, things like that. Again, he's not a straight up number 6 like in Ugarte. He is more of a box-to-box player, good at dribbling the ball, good at passing the ball. We got some further reports this morning. So again, take this with a pinch of salt. This is coming from a guy named Ken Lawrence who writes for The Sun. And we all know The Sun is a 4-letter word in the UK. He claims United are considering offering Berge a contract worth $100K a week. And he is apparently enthusiastic about the idea of playing for United. I mean, well, yeah, going from playing for Burnley in the Championship to getting $100K a week to play for Manchester United, who wouldn't be excited? Any player would be excited, right? Well, you're going to give me a raise and I'm going to go play for United and not play in the Championship? Yeah, sign me up. He's currently only on $40K a week at Burnley too. So yeah, of course, if we're going to more than double your wages reportedly, of course, who's not going to be excited about that? He would cost about $20 million according to some reports. Could be, getting Fofana and Berge and Amrabat for almost like half of what you might have had to pay for Ugarte does seem like good business. Maybe you can kind of recreate someone like Ugarte in the aggregate between 2 players, but at the same time, you shouldn't have to do that. But it is what it is. We are skint. We do need to sell to buy, and that's just where we are right now. Berga is just one of the names linked, but Graham Bailey popped up today and reported this morning that we have been offered more than a dozen alternatives to Ugarte from different clubs. Like I've said, I hope our recruitment team has alternatives, and I hope that they've had these alternatives lined up for a while. Hell, you and I can sit here, and we have done this. Danny and I will throw out names. Danny just do another one outright. We can sit here and list several midfielders, many of whom wouldn't cost a ton. Stach was on my list, Anton Stach, Angelo Stiller, Eric Martel, Hugo Larson, Nicholas Sewald, Xavier Schlager, Rafael Onyedika, Johnny Cardoso. All these players, all these defensive midfielders, all these midfielders, all of different clubs, some in Germany, some in Spain, someone born in Belgium, if you ever watch Onyedika at Club Brugge. Good players, cheap players, young players, some of them, like Schlager's a little older, but the rest of them are pretty young. Good development players, good already promising players. It wouldn't cost a ton. Recruitment is not difficult. We make it more difficult by focusing on big names. And I'm not saying United only do that. I'm just saying, like, you get the impression over the last decade or so with the way we've signed players, it feels like some 12-year-old playing Ultimate Team who's never watched a minute of football in their life, and they just get all the big players, right? All the best players, and they throw them on a team together. We need to shy away from Galacticos and start building a team for this manager. It's a little ridiculous. Not a whole lot of transfer news updates today. Obviously, Danny says they're talking about on Sky. I don't get Sky, so I'm not watching that right now. I'll check out some of the stuff after I'm done here, and once I figure out the video situation, because obviously that went all sideways earlier. But appreciate you, Danny, for letting me know the sound wasn't working. Anytime that happens, you guys just let me know. I'll do what I can. Like I said, as the channel continues to grow, I'll probably look at getting some sort of outside recording software. I had one, it just wasn't great, so I didn't offer a whole lot of resolution, so I choose that. So Danny, you can normally catch the Sky Transfer Show on YouTube. Man, I have so many YouTube channels that I try to keep up with and things. It's so hard to find time for all of them, my guy. I have some that I follow that it's just music, so I can just take some time out here and there and just have some music on while I'm like cooking or doing the dishes or something, because it's important to do that now and then too. But I will go check it out. You let me know if there's anything updated as far as just that, or if it's just Sky kind of reiterating, yeah, United are interested, United could swoop, AC Milan only want to pay 17 million kind of thing. I think a lot of people like Fofana. I think for the price, for the profile, what you get, I think he's a very good opportunity. I think it would be well worth our time to go check that deal out and see what we can do. But we'll see. Reports are he still prefers that Milan move, but Milan just don't have the money. So we'll see what happens. So I saw a few posts yesterday and then some more this morning about some sort of 40 million pound COVID allowance that was granted to United for the 21-22 season. I didn't think much of it at the time yesterday because a lot of it was snippets from TalkSport or from rival fans, basically. A lot of Newcastle accounts, some City accounts, Everton accounts. I didn't pay much attention. Usually when it's something about United, some rival fan or something from TalkSport or something posts, then I'm like, all right, we'll see what happens. But, as I woke up this morning, I saw football financial expert Kieran Maguire kind of chime in, because a lot of people were tagging him. A lot of people were asking him to kind of weigh in and give his thoughts. And it's funny, though. A lot of people, they tag him, they ask him to share his thoughts, and then they just completely disagree with him when he does. And I'm like, yes, the football financial expert that you ask, but when he doesn't tell you what you want to hear, he doesn't know what he's talking about, right? It's ridiculous. And so, but he has chimed in on Twitter, and this is what he said. He says, I've been asked by a few people to investigate the 40 million pound COVID allowance that Man United have in their 21-22 accounts. He has spoken to senior sources at the club and elsewhere, and the reasons are, number one, the cancellation of our summer 2021 tour. Usually we do that tour, and that was canceled. Number two, bad debts caused by commercial partner insolvency. So money that was set to come in that is no longer coming in, that is outside of our control. Number three, the club being unable to fulfill sponsorship partner obligations in summer 2021 because of the cancellation of the tour because of COVID, right? Can't travel, can't fulfill the sponsorship. You're losing out on some money right there. Number 4, broadcaster rebates, PL and UEFA. So because you, and he also continues. So he says, because United are listed on the New York Stock Exchange, they have to disclose more, because they're publicly traded. We have to disclose more information than other clubs have to. This is an obligation that we have. This, the way we're owned, the way we're publicly traded. Many of these other clubs have COVID claims that are not shown in their accounts. So conclusion, he says there's no corruption from the Premier League. Is like a lot of people are trying to call out cartel, say this corruption, big clubs this, big club that. Many were skeptical still about Man United supposedly being the only club who's had such issues. But like he said, United are the only club who are obliged to disclose those issues. No other clubs don't have to, just because of the way we're on the stock exchange. Other clubs have actually been given COVID allowances as well, but it's only United who really get talked about, basically. Other clubs, just they generate smaller revenue. They're smaller clubs. They have smaller expenses. Therefore, they have smaller claims to disclose, and therefore less of an allowance granted to them because of that. It's just the way it is. Someone who invests 100 million could have a bigger loss than someone who invests 5 million in something. It's just the way it works. Haters will continue to try to tear us down, though, because that's what haters do, right? You know, notice that it's only the City, Newcastle, Everton supporters who have been most vocal about this, right? I wonder why. Funny how everybody is a lawyer, a political expert, or a financial expert on social media, especially when it comes to their rivals, right? Everyone pops up with something to say. TalkSport love to tear us down. I mean, got guys on. I mean, how they employ guys like Simon Jordan and Gabby Agbonlahor, right, is insane to me. How Graham Souness and Martin Keown get jobs is beyond astonishing to me. Just the unashamed, transparent bias that these guys go on. And we know that some of them don't actually mean it. Gabby Agbonlahor has pretty much admitted, like, he doesn't actually. It's a persona. It's to generate interest, to generate clicks, because that's what United do. We generate more clicks for a Jadon Sancho, Ten Hag falling out than City generate for winning a treble. And you can't, again, like I've said before, you can't cheat or buy your way to that kind of prestige. So it is what it is. A lot of clubs suffer from COVID, and I'm not going to feel too badly about multi-billionaires losing a bit of money. I think the fans, more than anything, missed out during that time. Obviously, Liverpool won the league with no fans in the stadium. Fans missed out, I think, that experience. And obviously, a lot of people suffered from COVID as well. So we saw a ton, like my business. So, you know, I'm a counselor. My wife and I own a practice. We saw tons of influx of people struggling with anxiety, with stress, all this stuff during COVID. Obviously, when everybody went in lockdown, we saw such an influx of, you know, minors, of couples. Everybody was kind of forced to stay together. A lot of the issues that people try to avoid or maybe weren't aware of just kind of rose to the surface. So we saw a lot of that. So COVID hit everybody. Let's not feel too badly about the billionaires who own the football clubs. But just wanted to address that today because I thought that was interesting. And to close off today, we do have a bit of potential stadium updates. This is coming from Chris Wheeler. And he says that Man United want to keep Old Trafford and build a new stadium. He says the club's considering a scaled down Old Trafford next to a new $2 billion stadium, or £2 billion stadium. Stadium would hold 30K fans and host women's and academy games. That's basically what I've said before, right? Like, if you could scale it down a little bit, maybe turn some of the upper tiers into, you know, I don't even know. You can make that the academy dorms or something, or turn it into some museums, some restaurants, do whatever you want there. Maybe even make it like a cool hotel or something. I don't know. But host academy and women's games there as well. I think that could be great. It almost becomes like the Cliff in some ways, right? Where the old training ground, where a lot of the class of '92 and the generations before that that was the old training ground, but it's still there. Old Trafford can kind of take on that legacy. It can kind of be inherited by the younger generations and the women's team and the academy, and still remain as part of, you know, Manchester United. I never want to see Old Trafford taken down, right? I don't. I just, because of neglect, we can't. It's not really fit for purpose for a club like us anymore, especially if we want to really get back to where we need to be. Chris Wheeler said too that the Munich tribute. So if you've ever been to Old Trafford, they have a whole Munich tunnel. The whole wall is lined with displays. There's the Forever Flame, right? The ever burning flame there as a tribute and things. A lot of really good history along there. The statues, he says, are still going to stay there at Old Trafford. So if you've ever been, there's a big Sir Alex Ferguson statue at the club. Outside of the stadium. I took a photo of it when I was there last. So that Old Trafford, that Sir Alex statue is there. That will stay. The Sir Matt Busby statue will stay. There's the Munich clock as well over by the Matt Busby statue as well. So all that's going to stay potentially. And he did say that they surveyed 30,000 Man United supporters about the proposed new stadium, and apparently the response to the idea is split 50-50. So we know that Ineos, one of their first things that they came in and did was take a look at what it would be to have a new stadium. They assigned this task force. Gary Neville's on the task force, along with a couple other, prominent figures in the local community and everything, in the government and whatnot. Not going to pretend to be fluent in that because I'm obviously American, but they're looking at all options, renovating versus rebuilding, what the impact. We did that big video last week on this proposed idea for this 100,000 seat stadium. We took a little look at the economics involved. We took added look at, past precedent in terms of the economic impact or detriment that a new stadium does actually hold, whether or not claims that it'll boost the local economy hold weight. Looked at it from a philosophical standpoint. So go check out that video. That was a fun video to do when talking about a new stadium. But again, sounds like all options are being explored. I would love Old Trafford to stick around. I wish we could renovate it. I just don't think it's possible. I don't think the structure and the foundations and the pieces that are there, I don't think they can even physically hold, from an engineering standpoint, any sort of added capacity. I just don't think it can. And so I think it's just time to kind of repurpose it for what they're talking about. So that is what it is, but that is going to do it for me. Danny boy, any updates you got for me, man, while I'm live? I know sounds like you're watching some Sky Sports updates as well. Let me check and see online if there's anything else that's popped up since. I did see, again, some stupid links to Frankie de Jong. Some random guy, I don't want to be disrespectful, not some random guy like that, but like a lesser known journalist who writes for, a lesser known website reported that we were interested in Frankie de Jong again. I told you the other day the links were going to pop back up. So I think that at work laying brick listening. Anyway, good job, Danny. I like it when people listen while they're at work. So try to sift through some of the Frankie de Jong links. I mean, a lot of them are going to be tentative at best. A lot of them are going to be speculative, and a lot of it is just going to be the same stuff we've been hearing for the last 2 years. So not much to go on there. That is going to do it for me. Like I said, short video today. Not a whole lot going on this morning, but just laughing at the rivals, raging about United's, allowances, and a little bit of interesting stadium updates. So hit the like button for me before you leave, guys. I see we got 5 people watching, 2 likes. The rest of you, go ahead and hit that like button. It's super free. Works for me. Danny boy, enjoy the rest of your day at work, my friend. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, everyone. We'll be back maybe this evening if we get more updates going on. Otherwise, see you again tomorrow morning, and I will talk to you on the next one. Later. Cheers, Danny.